Hey there, welcome to the Astro Psyche. This is your weekly astrology for July 17th through the 23rd. So we have a lot happening this week. We have the nodes changing signs, we have Venus retrograde, we have Sun Pluto, the sun's moving into Leo. So a lot of things this week, and a lot that involves tension of the opposites and polarity kind of energy. So a lot of sort of feels like there's tension. If you're holding two ends of a string, there's kind of like that tightness, tension kind of feeling. So yeah, a lot to sort of dissect and to pull apart for this week. My name is Shauna McGrath. I'm a psychotherapist and astrologer, and I'm really excited to share the astrology of this week with you so that we can make the most out of this energy, out of what's happening this week. So let's break it down one thing at a time. First is that the nodes, the North Node and the South Node, are changing signs. And so this happens about every 18 months or so. So it's something that's important. And it's especially important because the North and South Node show us where we're going to have eclipses, what signs eclipses are going to happen in. And so in this case, the nodes are moving from Scorpio and Taurus to Aries and Libra. So we have the North Node moving from Taurus into Aries, and then we have the South Node moving backward. They're both moving backwards. We have the South Node moving from Scorpio into Libra. And so the nodes are always moving in a retrograde or a backwards through the zodiac sort of fashion. And the North and South Node will be in Aries and Libra from July 2023 to January of 2025. And so this is important for us to track because we have themes around whenever we have eclipses, they're sort of like portals to other worlds, other realities. When we have eclipses, this is usually when things can change and transition very quickly, and where something can come to light very quickly, where you can have a sense of feeling sort of like there's a reset button or a refresh or a renew or something where it's like, oh, now I have more information and I want to do something very different, or it can sometimes be an opportunity that comes forward. So our next eclipses are not until October, so we don't worry necessarily about that until then, but we're paying attention to themes where the transition during eclipse time was usually around Taurus and Scorpio, which is very much about power and resources, how we use our resources, how we use our power, what our relationship to power is. And it's moving into Aries and Libra are about the self, individuality, assertiveness, and then cooperation and compromise and relationships. So different themes, and it's going to depend, of course, on how everything is laid out in your chart. The other big part of this is that the nodes are moving into different houses in your chart, and so something to pay attention to there as well. What's also happening this week is we have a new moon happening in Cancer. So this new moon is happening on Friday the 17th or Tuesday the 18th, depending on where you are in the world. And so new moon is always this fresh start, new energy coming in, where there's a subtle planting of a new idea or a new opportunity, in particular at the exactness of the new moon, so Monday and Tuesday this week in this case, energy tends to be more internalized. We tend to have sort of lower physical energy levels, and it's great to pay attention to where you're being drawn to focus on, and to think back on the last month or so and what's worked for you, what's not worked for you, and where you really want to put your energy going forward. Now, a part of this new moon cycle is that the sun in Cancer is also going to oppose Pluto. And this is a tense aspect. This is an intense aspect because the sun is about consciousness, conscious awareness. It's also about our spirit, our soul, that energy that animates us, that is unique to us, that like that special part of us that we have to share, that internal spark. The sun is also related to leadership and success, and also having a healthy, strong ego. So because the sun is conscious awareness, the ego is also what we are conscious of. And so in some ways, the sun is also related to our ability to differentiate our own wants and needs and desires and our own life, our own identity versus that of others, and being able to set boundaries and to have a strong sense of self, like the inner self. And so when the sun comes into contact with Pluto in this way via opposition, Pluto is about the shadow, that which we are not conscious of. And it's about anything that has been repressed or rejected. So this can be qualities that we like or that we don't like. It's basically things, a symbol of things that we are uncomfortable with. And Pluto is a revealer of the shadow, a revealer of the unconscious. And this can sometimes, so what does this look like, right? So in my experience, Sun Pluto can feel really intense. It can sort of feel like we're being confronted with parts of ourselves or parts of others in our life. And it feels really difficult and uncomfortable because it's like a hard truth to swallow, if that makes sense. Pluto is about confronting what's really going on, like the root of something. Pluto is about getting to the root of a matter, getting to the root of an issue. And when the sun is involved here, it's really about ego and identity and possibly boundaries, possibly looking at how it is that we manage boundaries or that we manage our relationships. The other piece of this is that the sun is also making a trine to Neptune here. So both of these planets, Pluto and Neptune, are very connected to intuition, to psychic ability, and to our ability to sense things. Whether or not you identify as being intuitive or having a psychic sense or not, all of us have a gut feeling about things, and our gut feelings can be heightened at different times depending on our external factors and what kind of transits we're having in our temperament, etc. But it's really interesting that the sun is aspecting these two planets that are emphasizing our ability to feel something without having a logical explanation for it. And so I share that with you because I think it's important to notice the subtle things that we're tuning into. And I think that when we have Pluto here, it can be easy to go into feelings of fear, or maybe feeling like powerless. That's another key word of Pluto, is feeling like you're lacking autonomy or power in a situation. And the best thing to do with this is to look at where you do have a sense of power and control over your own nervous system, your own actions, and your ability to regulate yourself, essentially, your ability to respond as best that you can in a situation. And essentially, what can you do, what is within your control and your power, and what makes you feel powerful versus what makes you feel like you don't have power in a situation. And so, really notice there's a lot of intensity here. Pluto is a symbol of intensity. And so the more that we can slow down and notice what we're feeling and strategically do the things that help us to regulate ourselves, that help us to feel centered and powerful, that's really going to help to make things more smooth this week. It's going to help us feel better, and it's also going to help us take action where we need to and to feel secure about it. And this is important because, again, it's tied into this new moon cycle, to this lunar cycle, because it's happening at the new moon in Cancer. Now, of course, this week also Venus is stationing retrograde. So I made a whole other video about Venus retrograde. You can find that. I'll link that below. Venus will be retrograde from July 22nd to September 3rd in Leo. Venus is the planet of relationships, of love, beauty, money, self-worth, all of the things that are really associated with how we relate and connect with others, and also that money and self-worth piece. Those are some of the core factors of Venus. And so when Venus goes retrograde, there's an ability for us, there's an opportunity for us to look at our relationship to those themes in our lives, our relationship to relationships and to love and aesthetic and beauty and art, and so important, our relationship to money and our relationship to how we feel about ourselves, where we derive our worth, and how all of these topics are connected and interconnected and tangled or not, or maybe where there's like a cutoff in some way. And so I think that the more that we can look at what's going on in those themes, that's really going to help us go deeper with this Venus retrograde process. Venus being in the sign of Leo, of course, is about, Leo's a fire sign. It's a fixed sign, which is even better for deepening into an experience and to connecting with passion and play. And we go back to the sun here as well, because the sun rules Leo. So strong sun themes, the sense of self and the sense of that there's something very special about you. You were born at this particular time. There's something very special that you have to share with others and that others have to share with you. So other things I want to share. Okay, so a couple other things. I know it's a lot this week. And so I want you to know that, because I think sometimes it can help to know that, like, yeah, there's a lot going on, and that we can slow down as much as possible. And that helps to create more space internally. So also happening this week that is tense is Mars in Virgo is going to be opposite Saturn in Pisces. So Mars is about action. It's about fighting for something, about being an advocate for something. And it's also about confrontation and drawing boundaries, and doing so in a way that's very direct. Saturn is about boundaries in a different way. Saturn is about the feeling of containment or constriction. It's about limitation. So Saturn holds us to something. Saturn creates boundaries. It creates structure. Sometimes we like this and it feels good. Sometimes it doesn't. It feels constraining. And then Mars is about like pushing the boundary, pushing the edge, and like instigating things. So this is a very like angsty kind of aspect here. Mars opposite Saturn. Mars in Virgo especially is motivated toward precision and discernment, and like really figuring out, okay, like what's happening here, and getting into the details. Both of these signs are really about healing as well, and doing healing in a different kind of way. So Saturn in Pisces is about looking at our relationship to boundaries as it's connected to intuition and being in flow states and going with the flow, and even altered states of consciousness. These are all Pisces themes. So it feels like there's a tension here, maybe around wanting to be productive, which is very Mars and Virgo, and then needing to hold space for what is gestating, for what needs time, Saturn, to grow, and that there's going to be ebbs and flows with this Pisces. So it feels like there's maybe a little bit of possibility for impatience. And you know, how can we I think with oppositions, it's helpful to meet the needs of each of these polarity energies. So how can we do the thing that we need to do that feels gratifying, that feels like we're making progress and that we've made a difference? That's a big Mars theme. And then how can we create a space of containment around that so that it's not just that we're going. And, you know, Mars in excess can just be like running into the ground and not feeling like you're actually making any progress. So how can we, how can we feel like we're doing something and then also knowing that it's a marathon and that some of the best things in life, some of the deepest and richest things in life take time and regular tending, constant care and attention. That's very Saturn. Okay, so I hope you're still with me. Also this week is that the sun will move into Leo. And I think that this is going to be, so this is later in the week. And I think that this is going to take some of the pressure off because it's going to be the sun moving away from Pluto and moving into a sign that is versus Cancer. You know, Leo is a bit more about movement and going forward, feel a little bit lighter. So sun moves into Leo. Happy birthday to my Leo people. And then, of course, we have Mercury square Uranus. And so this is also kind of like a tense sort of feeling. And it's connected in with the Venus retrograde too, because it's sort of Mercury and Venus together in Leo are making this aspect to Uranus. So this is very much about rapid new ideas, insights coming to you, wanting to like make a change very quickly. And yeah, Mercury Uranus is about having new ideas and thinking about doing things differently. So I want you to pay attention to that. It feels like there's a lot that's happening this week, and to notice what you're noticing, your gut feelings, and if there's an instinct or an insight to do something differently. And I think that it helps us to still slow that down a little bit and to help to discern Mars in Virgo, you know, where is this new insight? Where is it coming from? Is it coming from anxiety? Is it coming from a place of wisdom? Is it coming from intuition? And, you know, is this something that I want to do now, or do I want to kind of like sit with it and hold it a little bit? So again, like kind of integrating all of these different energies and seeing what you want to tap into day by day, moment by moment. Okay, so let's pull some tarot cards. I hope that wasn't too much. I know that I just threw a lot at you, but hopefully, and I'm curious, yeah, like, are you feeling any of this? Usually we start to feel the transits a little bit earlier, so you may already be feeling some of this. So as always, I'm pulling 3 cards. And if you have a particular scenario that is on your mind, you can hold that in your awareness, or if you just want some general guidance or encouragement, and hold that in your awareness, focusing on your breath. All right, here. So first card is the Hanged Man. So it's really interesting. Hanged Man, hanged person. Yeah, these cards are a little hard to see, huh? I hope that you can make it out. So Hanged Man is a figure that is hanging upside down. In this card, there's an octopus that's underneath the figure, which I think is really interesting. And they're hanging on what looks like a broomstick. The Hanged Man is about that the Hanged Man tells us that the most productive thing that we can do right now is inaction. And usually it's telling us that there's something that we don't know about, or there's something that kind of needs to fall into place. I think that sometimes it can be that, yeah, like maybe you need to think about things, but the Hanged Man being a major arcana card, it's also about like there's more at work here. There's a bigger picture than you are aware of. So strong guidance to like chill and just, yeah, like pause. So that could be pausing on a particular scenario. It could be, again, just sort of like cultivating that slowing down over the course of the week. I also pulled the Four of Cups. I pulled this reversed. So what's interesting is usually the Four of Cups is about like not a missed opportunity. That's the phrase that was coming into my mind, but kind of like there's something here that you're not seeing that is a resource to you. So it's kind of like there's something that's being missed, and that it's reversed is really interesting because it's kind of like maybe there's something that you're like totally not aware of, or maybe you've just become aware of something. And again, the cups are about resources. It's also about relationships and feelings. It's very earth, very water element. So yeah, I mean, maybe there's something that has been recently revealed to you, or that that will continue to be revealed. So biggest thing with this card is to know that there's something that maybe you're missing in a situation. So really interesting, because I think that like pairs very harmoniously with the hanged person. Okay, and then final card is the Tower card reversed. So the Tower card, I know, is a card that can elicit some anxiety. The thing with the Tower card is that it's very Uranian. So it's about radical change. It's about the Tower card comes up when there is a foundational piece that is not structurally sound. So there's something that we've been building upon, that we've been doing maybe for a long time, and it is no longer sustainable. That we've built up a scenario or a structure in our lives, and it is no longer secure. And so there needs to be a change, or there, not even that there needs to be, but that there is a change. Usually when this card comes up reversed, it's saying that there's like kind of a little bit of resistance to that there's like a hanging on to the thing, to the thing that is changing. And so I'm really curious, what comes up for you when I'm talking about this. And my point in going through all of this with the Tower is that it helps us to see the broader storyline. So change, especially when it's thrust upon us, it can feel very, there can be anxiety, and it can be very inconvenient. It can be very difficult, frankly. And the more that we can like accept where we need to accept, and like notice where, okay, like this, I'm already noticing that things are unstable in this scenario, or that I feel like there's red flags, or I'm uncomfortable. I just have this feeling like something is up and I don't know what it is. The more that we pay attention to that, the more that we can proactively go with the change that's happening. or prepare for the change even, so that it doesn't have to feel like a catastrophe. And again, you know, sometimes people like radical change, so maybe that's you, I don't know. So when I'm looking at all of these together, okay, yes, this makes sense to me now. Okay, so the Hanged Man is the first card. This is like the scenario. There is something, it could even feel like you're like, fuck, Shauna, I've been like waiting for so long for this, whatever it is, to fall into place, and I'm tired of waiting. So that may be what's happening here. There's something that you've been hanging on that feels like it's been slow going, or there's been inaction maybe. And then the Four of Cups is about like there's just this one piece. There's this one piece that maybe you're not seeing that will kind of click things into place. And then that's when the change will come. Reversed cards to me also say that the outcome is like uncertain, like there's more details, there's more factors that need to be decided and to put into place before the card can reach its full manifestation. So that's kind of maybe a part of this too, is that the change, the tower, the radical change in your life, and radical change again can be positive as well, it can be very exciting and invigorating. It's kind of like that you need to find that missing piece, that there's some information or there's something here that needs to click, and then the change will be initiated. So that is your weekly astrology. I hope that you found this helpful. If you did, please let me know. I always love hearing from you. And of course, I am a psychotherapist and an astrologer. So if you're interested in working with me, I would absolutely love to hear from you. You can find more information on my website, theastropsyche.com. And I'm wishing you a lovely week. I'm sending you so much love and wishes of grace and ease through this week. And I'll see you next week. Bye.